Training camp starts in a week. We've broken down this roster in so many different ways. How far do you think the Niners will make it this season? If you had to bet on this in Vegas and just make the most responsible bet you could, or not the most responsible, but the most accurate, what do you think?
Okay.
How far?
I would say it's tough. I think they're going to either lose in the Super Bowl or lose in the NFC Championship game. If they can beat the Eagles, I feel like we're going to face the Eagles in the NFC Championship game again. And hopefully we beat them and go to the Super Bowl. But I'm concerned about the quarterbacks and the O-lines in the AFC versus our O-line and our quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to make a bet, I would say, honestly, I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to say we go to the Super Bowl and lose. Unfortunately, that's how I feel. I feel like it's just like, how would you bet on the Cowboys? What would you say the Cowboys are going to do? They're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to maybe win one game, and then they're done. With the 49ers, they tend to go one more game than the Cowboys, basically. So if I had to bet money, I think the 49ers are going to go to the Super Bowl and unfortunately lose. Now, maybe they can win the whole damn thing, but everything has to fall into place. If you don't have that O-line, you don't have that quarterback dialed in, everything has to go perfectly. So maybe they win the Super Bowl. That would be great. But if I had to bet money on what happens, Niners go to the Super Bowl and they lose, unfortunately.
Okay. That's actually a little bit more generous than I was going to be. If I had to bet money, I would say that they're going to play on the road in the NFC Championship game and lose. They start slow. They finish hot. They get to the NFC Championship game, they lose. They're going to do it again. Yeah. And people are going to say, 3 years in a row. That is so impressive. How many teams could go to the NFC Championship game 3 years in a row and 4 out of 5 years? Like, they'll spin it as a positive. Again, that's what I see. And I'll be the one person being like, not the one person, but we'll be over there being like, hold on. We're celebrating the fact that they still can't get any further than they got last year. Like, this is their level. I don't know.
They're in danger of being the Buffalo Bills from the 90s.
Not even that, man. Buffalo Bills went to 3 straight Super Bowls. I don't even know what you call the Niners.
Yeah,
the early 2000s Eagles.
Yeah, obviously my hope.
Team that no one cares about.
My hope as a 49er fan is that they go to the Super Bowl and they win the damn thing. I want that more than anything else. But if you're betting money, you just got to base it on the history and what's happened. And this is what happens. They go to the NFC Championship game or they go to the Super Bowl and they lose. And so if I'm betting, I'm going to bet what's happened on history. I'm going to hope for a win, though.
The way I see it is their two biggest question marks on offense: quarterback room, offensive line room. Neither one got better this offseason. They have more question marks in those rooms. Maybe they got better. But as it stands right now, there are more mysteries in those rooms right now than last year. Like, you let McGlinchey go, smart. I wouldn't have paid him either. You didn't bring in anyone. No one in the draft. You just elevated his backup. The guy that you told everyone last year was not as good as Mike McGlinchey. That's curious.
Yeah.
It's like, you let Jimmy Garoppolo go, great, and you replace him with Sam Darnold, and you have 2 guys coming off surgery. Like, we'll see. It could work.
Now, it is possible that the offensive line is better. It's possible that Banks plays better. It's possible that Brindell is at least the same.
Feliciano.
That Burford steps up or Feliciano steps in.
I just have a tough time believing that right tackle is better. When it's like, if Cole McKivitz was better than Mike McGlinchey, then why the hell was Mike McGlinchey ever playing for this team? Like, that would be my next question. If Cole McKivitz actually is an upgrade over McGlinchey, that would be amazing.
It's possible that Sam Darnold is better than Jimmy G. It's possible that we see a better version of Trey Lance. I actually think we will. When it comes to Trey Lance, if he plays, I think we're going to see the best version of Trey Lance we've seen so far.
What if Sam Darnold is the one quarterback who can stay healthy on this team? Sam Darnold.
It's all on Sam. Brock Purdy, I don't know. I honestly don't know if we're going to see an improved Brock Purdy coming off a UCL injury with little to no training camp or OTAs. So if I had to bet, I feel like we're going to go Super Bowl and lose. I would love to be wrong.
Yeah. How great is your roster if you don't have a QB1? Says Dirty Gold Bastards. That's pretty much the question that all Niner fans and Niner personnel people need to ask themselves. How great is your team really if you don't have a QB1?
Well, right now, that's the question. Hopefully,
they have 3 QB1s. You didn't know that?
They do. That's what Kyle said, 3 franchise quarterbacks. I mean, that's the question right now. And hopefully by week 17, week 18, we have an answer. And there's a true, obvious number 1. We don't know. Yeah.
Chris Tellerico says, my money would be on them missing the playoffs or losing in wild card round. They haven't done anything to get better where they need it, and competition did.
Dude,
I mean, they got better on the D line, which is fun.
it's
And they got
crazy.
better in the secondary, which is cool. Defense is great, but yeah, there's those two things on offense.
There's no way the Niners missed the playoffs, man. The NFC is garbage. The 49ers defense is going to be top 2 or 3.
I mean, it could happen
Guaranteed.
because this team does have. I mean, if it was the injury year, right?
Yeah,
it happened in 2020. They're coming
It
off a
could
Super Bowl
happen.
appearance.
I
It could happen.
They're going to make it.
They're consistently
Wild card.
among the top 10 most injured teams in the league, though. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
Like they
true.
start off 3-4. If they get a bad injury week 8, it could spiral. I don't know. They've really this season has been like their seasons have been on the brink of collapse 2 years in a row, and they like really had these dramatic turnarounds. May not go down that way this year.
It's possible they don't. It's very unlikely. I would never bet that they're going to miss the playoffs.
Let's look at 2020 real quick. Now, you're right. I wouldn't bet on it either. But in 2020, okay, they went 6-10 that year. They started off 4-3. Isn't that interesting?
They went backwards.
They were 4-3 in 2020. So there's this like critical point the Niners reach right around week 7, week 8, right around the trade deadline, where they're sort of treading water. They don't know who they are, and they either tank or they get really hot. So they tanked in 2020. They had a bunch of injuries. Last 2 years, Debo went crazy. Brock went crazy. Yeah, McCaffrey.
What if the 49ers didn't trade for CMC last year? How far would they have gotten?
If they didn't trade for CMC last year, they could have had a 2020 year. It could have been 6-10. See what I'm saying?
It's crazy to think about.
And it's also interesting. What is the move the Niners what move are the Niners gonna make at the trade deadline this year? Because that is their signature. They're not done yet. They make an all-in move during the season once they assess what they got and what the rest of the league has. What are they gonna do? Is that the thing at right tackle? Is it like we'll give McKivitz a shot, but if it ain't working, we'll trade for someone? Because if they do that, then that changes everything.
Yeah. And the schedule this year is tough. It is a tough schedule. So we'll see what happens, man. But, the tough schedule may work in their favor come playoff time. Because if they're used to playing these tough teams throughout the season, they might be ready for them more when the playoffs come along.
They had a lot of travel they had to do in 2021. I did it with them. It was exhausting. Niner fans are going to get shocked. No conference game. No conference. Oh, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if the Niners don't make the NFC Championship game. Will Niner fans finally get upset, or will they be like, look, I mean, can't do it every year? Seems like it's always an excuse. Careful if you face the Hawks in the playoffs again. That team looks better this year. And I don't think Geno is a one-year wonder. I think he's good. He was the number one. If you look at his deep throws that he threw last year, it's like
the best.
They were like and one mixtape stuff. Yeah.
The best in the NFL.